Advertising is one of the most powerful ways to get new customers, make more sales, and grow your business. But it can also be confusing and highly competitive and expensive, and it comes with its own set of unique challenges. But don't worry, it doesn't need to be this way. You can learn to create truly profitable and powerful advertising for your business. And that's why in this video, I'm gonna take my 10+ years of advertising experience and with thousands and thousands of profitable campaigns run and use what I've learned to help give you some of my biggest takeaways and strategies and tactics and tools and tricks and essentially lessons to help you create more powerful, higher converting, and more profitable advertising. I'm also going to share with you some of my top recommended books on advertising and marketing strategy, some of which you may or may not be familiar with, and a couple that I can almost guarantee you've never heard of before because they're kind of more exclusive to those of us on the inside, but I'm happy to pull back the curtains and share them with you today. So let me show you how it's done. All right, first things first. Now, you probably already know this, but we need to come to some kind of an agreement that marketing is important. Mandatory even. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Marketing is the single most important element to your business success because it's marketing's job to help you get more attention, get more customers, make more sales, and grow your business. And without sales and customers, well, you don't really have a business, do you? Next point, how your marketing is done is equally important, and there are a ton of different strategies and tactics and tools and tricks and tips and hacks and all kinds of things out there, of which advertising is just one of them. A very, very important and powerful one of them, but still just one of them. What this means is that for your advertising to work, it needs to be built on proven and fundamental and foundational marketing principles. You see, advertising is really just paying for promotion, paying other companies or media channels or networks or whoever it is, giving them money for them to share your message and to help take your content and put it in front of the right kind of people. But if your business model is off, your target market is vague or broad or undefined, or the message that you're putting out there just isn't that irresistible, or frankly, just isn't that good, well, then all the money in the world isn't gonna save you. You see, when it comes to marketing and to advertising, there is a right way and a wrong way. The right way means meeting clients and customers where they are, taking them by the hand, and then guiding them to where they want to go. This kind of marketing is done by, sadly, 1% of the population at most. The other 99% of marketers and advertisers, well, they're still stuck in the dark ages, screaming at people and wondering why nobody's paying attention, wondering why nothing is working. You see, if you want your ads to work, you need to know what psychological hot buttons to push, what mental triggers to trigger, what emotional hotspots to leverage and lean on, and what buying buttons to push. Wait, I already used buttons, didn't I? Anyway, I've got a perfect example of how to illustrate this to you in just a second, but first, a quick message from this video's sponsor, AI Target. AI Target provides tools and solutions for effective social media advertising. It allows you to launch advertising campaigns, manage them automatically, and scale your business on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, and TikTok. You can launch, control, and copy campaigns right inside the AI Target interface. You can set up A/B testing with just a few clicks, and you can integrate the tool with your preferred CRM system. This makes it easy to get access to your analytics and to your metrics to see how your campaign's performing. The best part though is that it allows you to increase leads, decrease costs, and it works whether you're B2B or B2C. So make sure to check out AI Target by clicking the link in the description below this video. Okay, so now let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I wrote an ad for a company that delivered pretty decent results. $2 leads to be exact, which at the time was a steal of a deal, but I knew deep down we could do better. So I dug deep into the hearts and minds and souls of the target market that we were trying to advertise to, really trying to pull back the layers, get into their heads and walk a mile in their shoes and do, as the great copywriting legend Robert Collier said, to enter the conversation already taking place in your customer's mind. Well, the result of this was coming up with one single word, a single word that changed everything. In fact, this one single word was so powerful, it allowed us to drop our CPL, or cost per lead, down from $2, which was already pretty good, to a staggeringly low 42 cents per lead. That's right, 42 cents per lead, which in this market was really good. And it was all because of this one single word, a word that allowed me to cut deep into the psyche of the customer that we were advertising to. You see, by understanding the customer better than they knew themselves, leaning on current and relevant industry topics, as well as really diving deep into behavioral science, which honestly is kind of what all marketing is built on anyways, well, it allowed us to increase our return on investment, or ROI, by 4 times. Again, just by adding one word. So at this point, you may be asking, well, what was that word? Well, my friend, the word was dad bod. A word that truthfully used pretty much anywhere else would yield little or no results, or possibly even damage your ad. But used in this context, with this market, well, it made all the difference, a staggering difference. And thus the importance of building all of your advertising and all of your marketing by starting out on those proven fundamentals, by understanding your target market, by identifying their wants and their dreams and their desires and their goals, as well as their fears and pains and problems and frustrations, and then identifying where they're present and active online and wrapping it all up in a really nice marketing package or customer journey known as a marketing funnel. You see, one word on its own really doesn't mean that much, but in this context, by putting things in the right place, by sort of hitting those emotional hot buttons and making sure that everything lines up, it made a world of difference, and again, lowered our costs and increased our return on investment a whopping 4 times. Now, here's the top half of the ad for context, so feel free to pause and to read it over, but the important point here really is just that top word, which is dad bod. Now, the ad was written for a personal development program that was aimed at men between the ages of 28 and 44. So whether you like the ad or whether you don't, or whether you think it's relevant or irrelevant is really beside the point, because the main thing is that it worked, and it worked really well. And honestly, that's what matters when it comes to advertising, especially when you're putting money behind your marketing and you're paying to promote your messages. They better work. So with that said, I've got 7 books sitting in front of me right now. 8 technically, but you'll see what I mean in just a second. And I want to share with you some of the biggest lessons from them to help guide you in the right direction so you can create better and more profitable advertising for whatever it is that you're trying to market. Also, if you're interested in picking up any of these books, which I'd highly recommend, you'll find a link to a reading list on my website in the description box below. So with that said, let's start right at the top of the pile with what is perhaps one of the most important books of all time when it comes to understanding kind of psychology-driven marketing, what causes people to buy, and that is none other than Influence, written by Robert Cialdini. This is one of the most popular and famous books, especially within marketers, because it really goes over kind of some of the key buying decisions, what causes people to do what they do. It covers terms like reciprocity, where when you do something for someone else, they're more likely to do something back for you, as well as the principles of social proof, how we look to others around us in order to help us make buying decisions, and how you're going to be able to leverage that inside your marketing. There's other factors as well, like the importance of being likable, as well as someone's need to act consistently with who they think and feel that they are. But again, you'll find all of that inside the book. And this is why this is one of my go-to and one of my top recommended books for anybody who wants to take their marketing knowledge just that one step further and really create compelling and high converting advertising and messages. All right, next up, we've got 80/20 Sales and Marketing by Perry Marshall. Again, this is a truly phenomenal book, not just because of my obsession or fascination with the 80/20 principle, essentially saying that you're going to get 80% of your results from just 20% of your efforts, but also in the way that it really breaks down how to use that when it comes to your marketing and to your advertising. You see, one of the biggest myths and misconceptions in all of advertising is this belief that you're going to be able to write just one ad and then put it out to the world and your business will grow. That'd be amazing if that was the case, but it rarely ever is. The fact is, you're going to need to create a lot of different ads, and you're going to need to test different things, and you're going to need to find that one winner, that diamond in the rough. Then you're going to be able to scale that up, put more money behind it, and cut all of your lower performing ads. Using the example of the dad bod ad, well, before I added the word dad bod, we were getting $2 a lead, which is fine, but it wasn't amazing. So we split tested it, we tried different things, I added that word, and sure enough, our our results improved. And a lot of the strategy behind that comes from that book, 80/20 Sales and Marketing. All right, the next book that I really can't recommend highly enough is Purple Cow by Seth Godin. Now, for starters, pretty much anything by Seth Godin is going to be a really strong suggestion here. In fact, it's influenced and really guided a lot of the way that I look at business and at marketing and at life in general. So anything by Seth is pretty much going to be a good plan. But Purple Cow really holds a special place in my heart because I picked up an audio version many years ago, and I remember listening to it on repeat. And in fact, Purple Cow was so important to me, well, this is one of the books that I actually own multiple copies of, both in order to give to clients, to give to friends or family whenever they have questions, and essentially just to keep around so I'm always reminded, always have one on hand. Now, the key premise of Purple Cow and how this is going to be relevant to your marketing and to your advertising is all about being remarkable, being different, and standing out in a sea of sameness so you can truly differentiate yourself from the competition. The premise basically is, as well, if you're just driving along the road and all you see is cows here and cows there, well, pretty soon they start to get pretty bland and pretty boring. What if you saw a purple cow? Yeah, just think about it. All right, next up is less of an advertising book and more of a copywriting book, and kind of a little lesser known one, but it is the Boron Letters. Now, again, this isn't going to contain any real specific tactical information, but the way that it's written and the style and the format and the conversational tone written from a father to his son is incredibly powerful. And the short letters and the way that they're structured, well, all of it contains just truly remarkable takeaways and valuable points that you're going to be able to use in all of your marketing, not just your advertising, but your emails, your social media posts, pretty much anytime you write stuff. Now, like all of the books that I have in front of me, as well as most of the books in my office, they've all been flagged and highlighted and sticky noted. So I've actually had to go through before this video and put even different sticky notes in so I could remind myself of which passages I wanted to read. And from the Boron Letters, allow me to read one simple line that I've found, well, very valuable, and I think you might just as well. And that is, the money is where the enthusiasm is. Now, here was my biggest takeaway from that. You see, without getting all kind of woo-woo and spiritual, marketing is really just a transference of energy. It's communicating the value that you have to your customers. So if you don't truly believe in what you do, if you aren't passionate or enthusiastic about what you're selling or what you're talking about, it's gonna show. And it's gonna come off as bland and boring and drab and ignorable and forgettable, none of which are good and none of which are profitable. So, sell what you believe in what you sell. All right, next up is a bit of another hidden gem that not a lot of people are familiar with, especially outside the world of advertising, and that is The Wizard of Ads. It sounds a little bit strange, I'll give you that, but it's actually an incredibly light and easy and pretty enjoyable read. So with that said, allow me to read you a very short excerpt from the part on home movies, and the line goes, "Bad advertising is like home movies. In your ads, please never point the camera at yourself. You're just not that interesting." Now, whether you're that interesting or not is beside the point. The point is, to the market that you're trying to appeal to, that you're trying to talk to, well, there's only one really most interesting person in the world to them, and that is them. This is why one of the biggest sins in all of advertising is to create me-centric ads, to talk about yourself, talk about how great you are, how great your product or your service is, in hopes that someone will care, because the reality is they just won't. It sounds cynical, sounds jaded, but it's just true. Everybody's favorite person is kind of themselves. So if you're going to be running ads, if you're going to be creating marketing, you need to understand that. You need to embrace the WIIFM acronym. What's in it for me? Why should they care? Why are they going to listen? How are they going to benefit? And making sure that all of your marketing, all of your advertising is always about them. Anyway, great book. Highly recommend it. Okay, let's move on. And well, we couldn't talk about advertising without talking about perhaps one of the greatest ad men of all time, David Ogilvy. And this is why my next recommended book for you is Confessions of an Advertising Man. What's funny about this book, I just kind of realized, is that I have it so flagged and highlighted, I basically just flagged and highlighted the entire book. Anyway, with that said, well, there's two quotes that I want to pull from this one for you, one of which on ethics, the other on perhaps the laziest way to do marketing. So let's start with the ethics one, because this is something that really sits near and dear to my heart. By marketing in a way that's ethical, that keeps your integrity intact, that doesn't force you to compromise your values. And as Ogilvy says, never run an advertisement you would not want your own family to see. I found that incredibly important, and to help make sure that whatever it is that you're doing or that you're selling, you would be just as happy and just as content to sell to your family or to your friends as you would to a complete stranger. Very, very important, especially in today's age of transparency and reviews and social media and all of that stuff. Ethics and integrity are more important than ever, as they should be. All right, so with that said, a quick quote on price reductions, which I believe are the laziest and perhaps one of the least effective ways to run an ad. They do have a place, but let's hear what Ogilvy has to say on the subject. Any fool can put on a price reduction, but it takes brains and perseverance to create a brand. Andrew Ehrenberg of the London Business School has one of the best brains in marketing today. He reports that a cut price offer can induce people to try a brand, but they return to their habitual brands as if nothing had happened. The takeaway point there is, yes, you can reduce your prices and you can get a one-time or transactional customer, but it's not the way to increase lifetime customer value. It's not the way to create brand loyalty or to really sort of tap in to where the most profits are found, which are in those existing and long-lasting relationships. And you get that by doing proper marketing, by building a brand, by being consistent. All right, and my final book that I want to recommend to you today is, well, another one by Ogilvy, and this one is Ogilvy on advertising. Why I like this one is because it is just packed with different examples. You're going to be able to see all of the best ads and some good examples. You'll be able to look at different headline frameworks and different formatting, different images, all of his best ads that have really stood the test of time and have generated millions and millions and millions of dollars in sales. What's also interesting is when you look back a few decades, you start to see how some things have, well, repeated themselves or been borrowed or stolen from previous ad campaigns. For example, on page 59, you'll see Ogilvy's famous ad, The Man in the Hathaway Shirt, and he probably looks a little bit familiar, let's say to the most interesting man in the world. Well, as Picasso said, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So there's lots of lessons that can be learned, stealing not required, from any of these books. Of course, if you'd like even more advertising strategies to really help take your campaigns to the next level, the next thing you're going to want to do is check out the video I have linked up right here on how to advertise for a small business. So make sure to check that out now, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, the next thing that you really need to consider when you're looking at advertising your budget is who are you trying to sell to? This is all about having that ideal customer avatar in mind.